Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of The Chord. Now, when you're talking about the chord and the music that we have for you, Michael Jackson is a man who is not only a performer but an artist, and he is brilliant. Now, the thing is, Michael Jackson did not start off as Michael Jackson. It started at Jackson 5, where he was a very young kid actually. If you talk about it, he started dancing at the age of 6 and started singing at the age of 6, and look at the kind of song that he's made. He started growing up with the Jackson 5. It wasn't easy for him, but then he kind of progressed in a way that, well, if I can say, he was abused in a big way by his father. But then Jackson 5 was what he had at that point of time. He couldn't grow out, couldn't break out of it, but that was who he was, Michael Jackson. We talk about the king of pop. The one thing that comes to your head right now is Michael Jackson. I don't think anybody has become so big so fast when it comes to Michael Jackson. 4 decades, that means 40 years of absolute madness is what he gave the world. He was the king in the sense that nobody could even reach the top 5 because his songs were always there. There's this small app that has come which shows you as to how people have been doing when it comes to music basically, and you can see Michael Jackson right on the top there all the time. There's no difference. He's just there all the time. Madonna comes, Madonna goes. You have Led Zeppelin coming and going. You have Alice in Chains coming and going. But then you have on the top only one man, and that is Michael Jackson. What was it that made him fantastic? Well, couple of things. The way he sang, the way he danced. I mean, he gave breakdance to the world. If nobody knows that, then nobody knows Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's childhood was traumatic for one reason. His father used to abuse him, and it was pretty bad for him. He used to hit him and literally try to make him be who Michael Jackson wanted to be. Now, he never went out and said this publicly that he had a problem with his father, and that's why his childhood panned out the way it was. But then everybody knows that this is what really happened, because Oprah Winfrey came up and said eventually when Michael Jackson died that probably if his childhood was not that bad, then people will not talk about what he did later on. For one reason, people told that he was actually a child abuser when he grew up, but not really. Nobody knows what the truth really is, but then we all know that his death also is a big mystery. His life also is a big mystery. But then we're talking about Michael Jackson, the enigma in itself. Now, being with Jackson 5 and growing up was a very terrible time for Michael Jackson for one reason. His father was really abusive, of course, but then eventually as he went through life, it just happened that things used to follow him. I mean, of course, all these great artists always have something or the other coming and biting them at the back for one reason. They are who they are. They are great. Everybody wants to know what's happening with their lives, personally or not. But eventually, if you look at when you look at Thriller and Michael Jackson, look at Bad and what happened eventually after that, you see that his color of his skin was changing. People thought he was bleaching himself. Not really. He did have a skin condition, and that's the truth, folks. Now, Michael Jackson started as Jackson 5 with his brothers, dancing, singing, doing what he does best, and the world just kept on looking at him and saying, oh man, this guy is going to become so big, but nobody was prepared for how big he was going to come and become eventually. So you can imagine for 40 years he was number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, if not number 5 on the charts. To do that is phenomenal. Of course, later on his life took a different turn altogether. Now, what is it about Michael Jackson that makes him different? Well, for one reason, he's a performer. Right from the small age of just 6 years old, he was on the screen. He knew it. He saw it. He knew he was popular. But what did that do? Well, not only something else that's completely different. He had a different way of singing. He used to have these guttural voices that came in, like a pop that would come out. And you were like, what is that all about? He used to have these, you don't even know what to call it for one reason, because there's no word for it in the dictionary right now as to how he used to sing. There used to be something in his voice that would come out and make you say that is different. But then that was what Michael Jackson was all about. And the way he danced, man, that was performance. Now, what is it that makes him special? Where he's a performer? Is he an artist? Is he a dancer? Is he a singer? We don't really know for one reason, because he is an enigma. He is everything encapsulated. Now, what makes Michael Jackson tick? Or what really made him tick? Was he a performer? Of course. Was he on stage doing what he wanted? No, he was a choreographer too. He knew exactly what he wanted. He sat, he visualized, and he made it happen. And he was a master of his craft. To be a performer like Michael Jackson took you not only experience, but also you need to have the class to understand what is going to make you famous in the world. Michael Jackson for 4 decades was the best of everything else, because he was known as the king of pop. Now, Michael Jackson did not have it easy when he grew up, because when he was very young, he was abused by his father. He was a part of Jackson 5, but as he grew up, he knew that his brothers and him were different in a lot of ways, because he had class. He knew what he wanted to do, and that's what he did. He sang, he danced, and he grew up, and he broke out the mold of Jackson 5, went to Quincy Jones and said, I want to do things on my own now. I want to go solo. And that is what Michael Jackson did. And my God, what a move to make. For 40 years, that's about 4 decades, he did everything that could be possible to make himself number one. And that's why he is the king of pop. Now, Michael Jackson is a man who has invented a lot of dance styles where he's actually jumped on his toes once, and I don't know how he doesn't break it, because ballerinas have got problem with it. But then he also did the moonwalk, which literally everybody was shocked by seeing what he did, because the moonwalk was never done before. Nobody saw it before. And actually, people, when you talk to them right now, even dance masters, they say that that was a brilliant move, and how he did it was just anybody's guess. But that is genius at play. Well, what else can we talk about Michael Jackson? There's lots that we can talk about Michael Jackson. But the main thing about Michael Jackson is the fact that nobody in the world can ever become Michael Jackson. Because of one reason, he not only danced, sang, but went to the hearts of everybody. If you just listen to some Liberian Girl, Beat It, Billie Jean, I mean, those are masterpieces, which I think in one century also to people, he's actually Mozart of pop. That's all I can say. I'm trying to get words, I'm trying to figure out which word in the dictionary can actually call him fabulous. But fabulous is beyond anything Michael Jackson ever did. He went much above any kind of standard that anybody could have set when it came to pop music. And that is why he's called the king of pop.